Back to Mishlei. Fresh chapter. Not that the chapters matter. Mishlei 22:1. And I don't even remember the last one we did was about the horse and the war and stuff, right? Yes. So this on the surface does not look connected, so hopefully we won't have to go back to that. Okay. Nivchar Shem Meosher Rav Mikesef Umizahav Chayin Tov. You want to take a crack? Yeah.
More choice is a name.
Yeah. So choice is the shoresh. So we don't use this expression in English that much, but like choicer or choicer means like the one that you would choose more. Yeah. So how did you say the first?
Okay, so choicer is name. I mean, like brackets, good name, but
okay, yeah, that probably makes sense. Yeah.
From plentiful wealth.
So a good rule to remember in Hebrew is whenever you have a term like tov or ra or any variant of those, then the mem does not mean from, it means than. Tov x may y means better this than that. So I'll do the bracket thing. A good name is choicer than, how do you translate Osher Rav?
Plentiful wealth.
Yeah, plentiful wealth. Mikesef umizahav chayin tov. So I think if you look at Sadigon, I think Sadigon is just shot here. V'hachayin hatov min hakesef hazahav. And good, how do you want to translate chayin? Favor. Okay, good favor is choicer than silver and gold. Yeah. Okay, I think that's just plain shot. I don't think he's doing anything weird. I don't even know how else you would read it. Targum, I think, is also just shot. Shema tava isbachar min utra sagia. That's just a straight translation. Umi kaspa umidava shapir chista. So the only thing that the Targum does is he translates chayin as chesed. Okay. So chayin is chesed. Okay, that's the only move he makes. I don't know why he does that. And in fact, you know what? It's possible. All right, I'm gonna just to double check this here. I'm pretty sure that is not the normal translation of chayin. Let's just look at the Jastro and see if that is the normal translation. If chista, was it chista with a yud or without? It doesn't really matter. I forgot if Jastro usually does male or chaser. What was it? Yeah. Hold on just a second here. Chista. There's chesed. Chista is okay. Well, I don't think it means shame. Chista, name of one of Amoraim. Okay, yeah. I think it's just. I assume it's just. Oh, interesting. Chesed, grace, kindness, love, charity. All right. So in other words, let's just. I don't know if we need to make a big deal about it. Maybe it is just the same thing. In fact, I'm just going to ignore it here, and just assume it's a straight translation. Okay. So our scroll says a good name is preferred to wealth and goodly favor than silver and gold. Whoa. Goodly. Okay. Living Nach says better a good name than a great fortune, a pleasing demeanor. Demeanor? Okay, I don't know where they get that from, than silver and gold. Alter says a name is choicer than great wealth, than silver and gold, good favor. Yeah, hold on just 1 second here. I don't know. Oh, this is embarrassing. I don't know if Rav with a kamatz is different than Rav with a patach. I don't know, because they're saying great as opposed to plentiful, like abundant. Let's just say great, because that encompasses both of them. Okay, there we go. All right, questions and problems.
What is a good name?
Yeah.
What is the name?
What is
brackets good name?
Yeah, a shame. And then what makes it good? Yeah. Or what is good about it? What is good about it?
We're willing to assume that the word good is supposed to be.
Yeah, I think we're going to assume that. Actually, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't assume that. A name is better. I mean, I think the only reason that we have to assume that is because bad names are not good.
Yeah.
So I think like implication. So in other words, it's not that shame equals shame tov. It's that by implication, the pasuk is only talking about a good name, like by excluding bad name. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, I do have thoughts of like how even a bad name, it's definitely neutral name, even a bad name could have its benefits.
What's the saying? All press is good press. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's just shame. That's not good.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah.
Oh no. So
yeah. So let's just ask that then. Is it talking? Let's ask that as a separate question. Actually, no, that's part of the same question. Is it only talking about a good shame, or any shame? Yeah. Okay. Whenever you have a pasuk that compares two things, you always have to ask,
what is the relationship between two?
Okay, what's the relationship?
But
choicer in what sense?
Okay.
Right? And that goes on both halves of the pasuk. Yeah. Right. You can't compare two things without a criterion.
Yeah. If I may then also, like, how can you relate shame to Oshera?
Yeah.
Like, what plane are they related?
Yeah. In what common
for both halves
plane is shame related to Osher Rav and Chin to Kesef the Zahav? Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and ask, what are Osher Rav and Kesef the Zahav in this context? Are they so like how, like what is it, right? Like how much are these synonyms? They strike me as synonyms in this case, right?
Yeah. What is plain tov? And what is if clean is favored, then what's good favor?
Okay, yeah. So this is an argument for why shame might not be shame tov, right? Because if it's specifying, like if it just says chin, I would have assumed it meant chin tov, but the fact that it specifies it means that there's two types of, well, okay, I guess there's two moves you can make. Either the fact that it specifies it means that it's not specifying it for shame, or that shame obviously means shame tov, but then there's two types of chin. Like for example, and it's a again, I don't like to pull in other pasukim in Mishlei, but since this one's fairly well known, I guess not in your house because you guys don't sing Ishes Chayil, right? Sheker hachein behevel hayofi, v'isha yiras Hashem he sees halal. So we know that there is a type of chein which is sheker, which is bad. So what is chein, and then what is chein tov? And then open brackets or in parentheses, and chein ra. Yeah. As differentiated from chein ra. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you could ask these questions, but like how does one achieve chein tov?
Okay, that's a good that's a good preface here. Okay. So how does one achieve a shame and chein tov if the pasuk is even addressing that? And I think that's a good question because there's nothing that forces us to assume that the pasuk is teaching you how to do this. There might be other pasukim that teach you how to do this. It's just saying, like, the practical implication would be you should cultivate a shame tov or preserve a shame tov, and same thing with chein tov, so which, by the way, I think we don't need to ask what the practical application is here, but what we do need to ask is what is the Mishlei Kava Mina, right? That we only need to be told this because we might think that Osher Rav or Kesef Zahav is better than a shame or chein tov, or that it can buy you a shame tov, like some, whatever the Hava Mina is. Yeah. I feel like that's it. I mean, let's put it this way. I think here we would put the question included in this, which is who is the audience? Because I think depending on who the audience is, you might have a different havamina. Yeah. Like, for example, there are people who just don't care about their reputation. Like let's take two people. Let's say like there's the guy who thinks that if he becomes rich, then he'll automatically have a good reputation. And then there's the, teenager who posts like idiotic pictures on social media and thinks that like it's not going to affect his shame. Those are completely different havminas, completely different audiences, depending on who you're talking to. Like, then, and for the first guy, you're going to tell him like, no matter how much money you get, then that's not going to buy a shem tov. And for the kid, you're going to say like, oh, you think like money is really good? Like, I don't know. It's like, two different pasukim almost. Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in the choice or in what sense question.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the central question here. Yeah. Well, the primary questions are going to be what is a shame and what is a chen tov, but then the way to unlock that is going to be choice here. All right. So let's figure it out. It's possible we'll finish this pasuk today. We'll see. So I think there is a distinction we need to make within shame. Let's start off. Okay, let's start off by not assuming it means a good. It's hard. I keep on being in conflict with this.
Question mark within the brackets.
Yeah, it's hard. I do feel like we need to take a stance on that, though, right?
I guess to each his own. Then.
Yeah. Every man for himself.
Oh, I love an English proverb.
Yeah. Is it possible to say Nivchar Shem is like a choice name? Like Nivchar Shem may Osher Rav. Like a choice name is better than great wealth.
I don't think you can make nivchar serve as the comparison word and the adjective. Like, sorry, and the how do you say it? How do you say nivchar shem? How do you want to translate?
I was saying nivchar shem would be like a choice name.
Yeah, so I don't think you can say it means a choice name and have the word better or preferable or something like that. I think you need to like choose one or the other.
Well, we have had a few pasukim where it didn't have a comparison word like that. Like it was, I don't remember what it was, but it was like now, like something, then something else, and like the implication was that maybe it was better. It was like a question of like what, like why it was missing a comparison word.
So I'm gonna because I don't remember and because it doesn't make sense to me, then I'm gonna not believe you until you can prove it to me. Okay, so if you find it, then I'll be open to it to Chaim's reading here. Yeah, yeah. So let's start with the choicer thing, right? So in what framework do these two even compete?
Okay.
And I think it's probably easier to start with wealth because we know what wealth does, right? Hey. Very straightforward reading today. So,
well, is wealth? Are we taking wealth in a like objective sense, or like because wealth can kind of be subjective, right?
Right. Well, what do you mean by subjective? Do you mean like
meaning
how
like
wealthy is considered wealthy?
Sure. Or you could just say that wealth could be somebody's perspective on their amount of money that they have, or something like that, right. Or not even money per se.
It sounds like this is talking in objective terms, right? Kesef and Zahav are like as objectively valuable as you can get. Like that's what value is measured in, right? And therefore, Osher Rav, I'm going to also assume means like by whatever standards are in your society, we're talking about like extreme wealth. Okay. In fact, extreme wealth might be a good way to translate it, right? Osher Rav, yeah.
So you want to go with Osher Rav and Kesef and Zav being synonymous?
That's where I'm going now, unless we were forced to go otherwise. Yeah.
Okay.
So, is it fair to say? I don't think this is like an idea. I just want to throw this out here. I think we're trying to answer the question about in what sense are they comparable? Is a name and chen tov comparable to wealth and silver and gold? So like I think you're either going to care about extreme wealth because of utility or because of status. Okay, so like having a lot of wealth is good because you could buy a lot of things, or having a lot of wealth is good because you're famous, or like you're known, or like it affects the way people view you, you know? So in both those areas, then shame and chayin can compete, right? Like there's also utility to having shame, and there's a utility to having goodly favor. But then also shame intrinsically is the way people view you, and chayin tov is also the way people view you, you know? So those are going to be, I think, the two areas in which these things are being compared, or possible areas. I'm not saying in both. I don't think there's another area. So maybe it might help us if we focus on the Havamina. So why would you think, I think we have to add a question here. Although we're not asking what is the practical application, I think we do have to ask, like in the sense of the message is clear, right? Is get good shame and get, chayin tov. Let's say, is this talking about a specific type of scenario? For example, I think there are two ways to take the pasuk, like just broadly speaking. Is this saying like, if you're going out there in the world to try to pursue some value, is it better to pursue the value of wealth, or better to pursue the value of chayin tov and chayin tov? Or is this saying, if you are in a very specific scenario and you have to choose between your reputation and money, then which one do you choose? Yeah. You know, is this a macro values life direction thing, or is this a micro decision-making A or B thing, you know? And there might be an overlap, like sometimes a person does have that crossroads. Like, I think that in an era of celebrity, or in a society of celebrity, I think that that's a lot of times, a question people have to make of like, maybe this is getting into the all press is good press, but like there are times when a person like, no, actually, I'm mixing two issues. Never mind. Retract. So yeah, go ahead.
It just seems to me, at the very least, that that the shame is a more macro thing. At the very, like, I don't know about chayin tov per se being a macro thing,
yeah,
but it seems that definitely shame is like this is how you're perceived, like overall, and like this is like your social standing.
Yeah. So tell me if this is where that intuition is coming from. That I think we recognize that wealth is something that fluctuates, whereas shame sticks to you. I mean, you can move to a new city and like get a new name, but like shame is a more like enduring like quality of your life, whereas Osher, Rav, and Kesef and Zahav are more like your circumstances. Is that where your intuition is coming from, or you're coming from a different place?
Yeah. That and like the general idea and like halachic, like a halachic shame is like something that's like intrinsic in the thing. Yeah.
So is that, the classic brisker category also the chayin tov? Is it a din in the gavra or in the chayin tov? Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. Just no doubts. I know I mentioned English proverb, but I think just a question I would ask is, so we are operating if we're operating within wealth. So, I mean, one of the options here that you have, there's either like good name or wealth. One of the options actually is a lot of wealth.
Yeah.
Right. So the English thing about is like give a man a fish, eats for a day, teach a man a fish, eats for a lifetime. Yeah. Which I know that's like only got like a little surface something. So I would want to then explain, however we do explain this pasuk, to then also take it as how that like investment in the
I see.
Nivhar shame
does
good. Get you to ending up more wealth than the lump.
Okay, that's good. So and I think it also pairs well with what Chaim was saying, even if it's not intrinsically connected, that the reason why shame is better is because it's a better investment. Meaning, even in the whatever terms in which you're measuring the value of Kesef and Zahav and Osher Rav, then shame is going to get you more return from that, or like greater in that area. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's actually, that is a very relevant proverb, right? So in other words, I wish I had the vocabulary to say, or the logical categories to say this, but like when you're comparing two things, sometimes one is better than the other, like quantitatively vis-a-vis a measure, and sometimes one is better than the other because it leads to an increase in the other. Like in other words, with the fish example, when you have that proverb, at no point are we even talking about the value of fish, right? Like, or eating, right? Or whatever it is, like that's just the assumed thing. But what we're saying though is like, if assuming you do care about eating, then being taught to fish is going to get you greater gains than being given a fish, right? So like that move is a good move. Okay, I have to throw out not an example, just category examples. You do see that there are people who are extremely wealthy and have a bad name, and their wealth doesn't help them. Like well, let's put it this way. No one wants a bad name, okay? And no one wants the opposite of chen tov, whatever you say that is. And you see that there are people who are extremely wealthy and they cannot buy a good name once it's bad. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, give me into develop this. This is definitely
sure.
not the intuitive we were going with.
So what I'm saying is like this, is that a good name can be instrumental to gaining wealth, but wealth is not going to be able to buy you a good name. There's going to be a certain superficial assumption maybe that people will have if they don't know you, that there have to be positive qualities about you if you're wealthy, or people will like project other qualities onto you. But if you have a bad name, wealth cannot help you with that. Yeah.
Okay. From what you're saying, and read who's the audience, not to be you yourself when you're making that decision, but if you're approaching someone and you should go to someone who has a good name, but say like you're looking for an investment or something like that, go to someone who has a good name more so than like the not nice rich guy.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're to go to say like a Kevin O'Leary, right? Like terrible type of guy, but he's got a lot of money. Like you might think, well, he's got a lot of money, he'll be able to support me. Like if he likes my business, all that. Like he's going to end up like, I think also, how do you get all that money? There's like a lot of like, he was really nasty. All he cared about was himself. He didn't care about the other guy. So don't go to that big pile of money that's walking around. Go to the guy who's got like maybe less of a huge lump of money, but he's a good guy. He's going to help you work on your business. Mm-hmm. And that's the better guy to go to more so than the guy who's already got a lot of money.
Okay. Yeah. What was the name you mentioned?
Kevin O'Leary.
Is it bad that I don't know who that is?
Mr. Wonderful. No, he's from Shark Tank is where I know him.
Oh, okay, fine. But, I've just never heard of him. Yeah.
Really nasty guy, but
investor. So are you giving that as an example or as the definition? Like,
as a way to read this?
Oh no, but what I'm saying is that when you gave the example of like someone with bad midos.
Oh yeah.
Right. So is that what you're saying the opposite of chen tov or the opposite of shame is? Or okay, fine, right. As opposed to, for example, like a reputation of honesty, or I guess that would be included in this also. Reputation, let's say like knowing his business or whatever, like, yeah, you're saying like midos. Yeah.
So why isn't the pasuk addressing that you could potentially go for both of these things, wealth and a good name, take a philanthropist or something like that?
That's why I like David's fishing thing, because the fishing thing is assuming that if you just go for wealth, then that's not necessarily going to get you a good name. But if you go for a good name, then like you're going to get both. And I'm giving that as an example. You're giving a different example, but like I'm open to that idea. That would be why it doesn't even have to state the criterion, because it's saying that there's a cause and effect relationship between you can get two things or you can get one thing. Yeah.
Wait, can you clarify? I don't think I fully got the question you're just asking me.
Yeah.
When I was with the interpretation I was just giving, you were asking if I was saying particular to me dope versus like other things. I wasn't.
Yeah. Let's say, for example, like.
Also, what was getting you to ask that question?
Well, because you gave an example of someone and you used the phrase several times, like nasty person or whatever. So I'm saying, I was thinking about shame in not limited to mitos. For example, like, let's say you are going to, let's say you have to choose between investing your money in hiring someone to manage your money, right? So you can hire someone who is very rich, or you can hire someone who has a good track record of investment. Now, neither of those has to do with mitos, right? Yeah. So, but it is a shame. Like it is a reputation, So I was just wondering how broadly you were taking shame.
Okay. Yeah. I would see the read either direction.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the mitos thing definitely, I think, fits better with the chen tov, and I have no problem saying that shame is just a repetition of that.
Kind of like if I had a direct correlation, kind of like there will be blood almost.
Okay.
Like that's what like comes to mind.
Yeah.
Just this idea of like throwing away your legacy and your name for wealth. And
Right.
it's like kind of that idea.
Yeah. I think that's also connected to the Hava Amina. I think people feel like a name can be bought. Either l'chatchila, like if I'm wealthy enough, then that's automatically going to lead to a good reputation, or that a name can be fixed with wealth, or a name can be like recovered with wealth, something like that. And therefore they play fast and loose with a reputation, not really worrying about like, about that loss, because they view it as something that could be recovered through the wealth that they get. And that's the mistake,
Right. Also, just in terms of nivchar, how are we understanding that it's choice?
Yeah, choicer, which is just a synonym for better.
Better.
Yeah, I mean, it is more worthy of being chosen, or you should choose it.
What degree? Because like if you were to ask like Kohelet which one's better, he'd say they're both futile.
Actually, it's funny because the pasuk that I keep on thinking of here is in Kohelet, which is hold on. It's a very similar pasuk. Oh, this is going slow again. Not even typing. What happens if I just search for it here? Tov, shame. Yeah, so it's Kohelet 7:1. Tov, shame, mishem, and tov, v'yom hamavas miyom hivalda. So it's not the same. I thought this was the second half. Better a good name than good oil, and the day of death is better than the day of being born than birthdays. Death days are better than birthdays. Yard sites are better than birthdays. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not refuting. I agree with you that there are many other pasukim that say that a good name is not good. But even here, he's saying that there is a superior. You could, in other words, even within things that are like not of the ultimate value, there are still things that are better than others.
So even if they fall below the scale of being fully meaningful,
exactly.
Still.
Yeah. Like if I remember like one interpretation of this. So Shem and Tov, again, our equivalent of that is like cologne or perfume, right? So with cologne or perfume, you get like a superficial, like people who are around here are like, but then let's say you open your mouth and let's say you're a jerk, right? So then the perfume does nothing, right? So that's, I mean, I'm just using that as an example with the shame tov, like it's just a very surface level thing. So surface level appeal is no competition for like who you actually are, but then who you actually are in the eyes of people is not going to be of ultimate value in terms of whatever Kohelet is saying. Or I mean, however you say shame means. Okay, let's do this. Let's jumpstart this by looking at Metzudas David, just because I feel like we should try to get to an idea now. Okay, Metzudas David says, Nivchar Shem Tov, so he does say Shem Tov, Nivchar Me'osher Rav, V'chein Tov, Nivchar Mikasef Zav. Okay, he barely even interprets it, he just translates it almost. Okay, did not help us beyond what we already had. All right, let's look at Rabbeinu Yonah. Rabbeinu Yonah says, hold on.
We could also just, for reading the pasuk, also that having a good name, whether or not you have like money to back yourself up, but people knowing that like people will want to more like invest in a person than if they're say like looking to hire you, they'll more invest in a person than they will in someone who already has money but isn't like a fit for things.
Yeah.
I also just think pretty simply that's like if you're looking to get ahead, get forward. Right. Like investing in yourself versus investing in something external to you would do better also.
Yeah. So to me, the strength and the weakness of that interpretation is that it is talking about so according, let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly, first of all. Sure. So according to that, the audience is really talking about who is talking to a person in a decision-making position about who to rely on or to turn to. You say investing?
No. Okay. So then I'll say for the person himself. Yeah. Right? As you were saying, if he has like a decision of like whether or not he can, and maybe actually this would be like that broader, like is he gonna be a person that's going to like try to get ahead, say in business or whatever it would be, really. Yeah. Get ahead through just amassing a lot of money, or get ahead by establishing a good name for himself. And that establishing the good name for himself will, in the long run, get him further.
Okay, right.
Starting off with a lot of money.
Right. So and so to connect that to what you're saying before, because people do trust the person more than the results or whatever, or then more than the success. Yeah. Okay, let's look at Rabbeinu Yonah. Oh, so he does connect it to the two previous pasukim. So the two previous pasukim were in. Let me just look at it easier on Al Torah, unless Al Torah is still frozen. Two pasukim from before were Ein chachma ve'ein tefuna ve'ein ezel neged Hashem. There is no wisdom, no understanding, no counsel against Hashem. Sus muchan liyom milchama v'let Hashem hateshua. A horse is readied for the day of war, but to Hashem belongs the salvation. So it mentions in the two pasukim above that chachma and gevura do not help against the divine decree. I think the main idea we got from that, if I remember from however long ago this was, it was like no matter how intelligent you are or how good your plan is, the plan can't give you success if it's not in the cards, right? Like you can make the right decision in poker, but if like the next card comes up and it's not in your favor, then it's not going to help you, So with the gezeros of Hashem, like ultimately your plans cannot override the gezeros of Hashem. They have to be in line with the gezeros of Hashem in order to succeed. Okay, so that was the main message from above. So that's what I said before. Now it's talking about the literally the imperfection of wealth. Ukilu Omar, it's as if it's saying, Ein Sarach Lomar, Ki Ein Ha'osher Mo'el Lahatzalas Ba'alav Min Ha'gzera. That certainly wealth cannot save its owners from the decree. Kihi Hashpalas Hashfela B'malos. It is the lowest of virtues, right? So this is in what Rabbi Zimmer Shiur spent a long time on, right? Which was the four perfections or the four excellences of perfection of possessions, perfection of the physical, perfection of midos, and perfection of mind. And so perfection of wealth is the lowest level, right? Chachma provides an advantage and augmentation or strength of the soul. But gevura Yisron v'koach b'guf. Strength, seemingly physical strength, is a perfection of the body. Umalas ha'osher hinehi chutz mimeno, but wealth is outside of the self. V'lo higia eleha lo b'kocha v'lo b'sichla, and it does not come to you through your strength or through your intellect. Kasher yazkir b'mikra haba afara is that. Spoiler alert, as it mentions in the pasuk after this. He quotes the pasuk, the very same pasuk that I was talking about was based on. So it's third place. Okay, so that's his first point, right? Of the types of things to seek, it's the lowest one. Okay, but the problem is he hasn't really explained where Shem Tov comes in, because Shem Tov, if you're talking about like your actual reputation, like how people view you, ultimately that's also not in your control, right? And it ultimately doesn't matter. Like you can have someone, look, I guarantee you, Avraham Avinu did not have a Shem Tov when he got thrown in the fiery furnace. Like he was going around, destroying stuff, destroying their beliefs. So like, or you can have someone who does all the right things and then gets in trouble because there's some like crazy person who like has an agenda. So you ultimately can't control that either. So that's really where my question is right now so far. So I'm hoping he's going to answer that. Ubir inyan nivchar shem me'osher rav. Ki Hashem, in fact, you know what? I'll just bolster this here. Just bring in a little Enchiridion action here. Enchiridion. Oh, I hate the search engine. What if I do Epictetus? Search engine let down. Okay, let me try one more place. All right, Epictetus Enchiridion, full text. Yeah, low system resources. There must be something slowing down my computer.
Wow.
I thought it was the internet, but apparently it's not. Yeah, some things are in our control. This is the opening paragraph being Enchiridion. Some things are in our control and others are not. Things in our control are opinion. Your own opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are our body, property, reputation, command, and in one word, whatever is not our own actions. Right. So like, it is you can change your opinion of how people view you, but you really can't ultimately determine or control how people view you. You can just set it up. Okay, so I'm hoping he answers that. Ubir inyan nivchar shem me'osher rav, ki hashem hatov yo'il l'chol davar me'osher rav. So a good name, he also says good name, is more beneficial in every way than a lot of wealth. Ki ha'osher lo yatzil ba'alav, because wealth does not save a person. Are we on the right or left column?
Right.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Min hagzera, I want to save a person from a gzera lo yo'il hon b'yom evra, and wealth will not benefit you on a day of wrath. It means like divine wrath. V'im ha'osher yanchil ba'alav kavod, and if if wealth will bestow honor to its possessor, halo kavod hashem hatov yigdal mimenu, isn't the kavod of a name of reputation greater than that? So in other words, he's acknowledging you do get a certain amount of kavod for your wealth, but if you have a guy who has kavod from wealth and a guy who has kavod from wealth and a good name, so then clearly the second guy is better. It's not that they're equal. V'yoser yabitu el ba'alav be'ein hahidur, and people will look at that guy with a good name with the eye of beautification in even greater way. I don't know what he's saying yet. It's mentioning the advantage of a name over great wealth, and the advantage of favor over silver and gold. Each one is being mentioned next to its similar thing. Because someone who has a lot of wealth, a good name will go out from him. Because a good wealth, someone who basically has bal nachlos v'hayaros, someone who has inheritance in cities, properties, is called osher rav. Asher ashro gali l'chol ha'am, that his wealth is manifest to everybody. That's like I was saying that it means objectively. Kasher huskar b'divrei chazal atir nichsin atir pumbi ze bal hagados. Okay, I don't know why he's quoting metaphorical interpretation of this. Someone who's crowned in possessions, or atir maybe just not, I don't know if atir means crown or atir here means wealthy. Wealthy in possessions, wealthy in pumbi. I forgot what pumbi is. It's one of those fun Aramaic words, kind of reminiscent of the Lion King. That's a bal hagados, someone who knows a lot of midrashim. Let's just see what pumbi is. I think pumbi has to do something with property. Pumbi, Timon and pumbi. Nope, that's also not it. Pumbiaini, so it's going to be here. Oh, Pumbi. Okay, look up Pumpi, a city that was destroyed by Vesuvius. Pumpi, solemn procession, pomp, solemnity, or ostentation. Okay, I don't know what to make of this. Chazal. Okay, whatever. Al-Kain Amar Ki Hashem Hatov Nivchar Mishim Ha'osher Ubal Kesav Azav Ein Asher Gali Lakol V'chein Bal Hachein Yitachin She'ein Lo Shem. So he says a good name is choicer than the reputation for wealth, and a Bal HaKesef V'Hazahav, and a possessor of silver and gold, Ein Asher Gali Lakol. His wealth is not evident to everyone. And it's also possible that a person, someone who has chen, it's possible he does not have a shame. Sounds like he's saying that chen and shame tov are not the same thing. It sounds like is he saying that there are four things here? Sounds like he's saying there's four things here, right? That there is osher rav, which he's saying someone who's bala nachalos vayaros, someone who inherits wealth. Okay, that one is so that you go like this: a good name, then osher rav, which means you have inherited a lot of stuff. Then kesef v'zahav is worse than that, because kesef v'zahav just means you have it in your bank, but not that you have it in a way that's manifest to everybody. and then chen tov is better than that, but not as good as a shame. I don't know what he's saying. So we're gonna have to work on this for tomorrow. Okay, but let's just get something else. We got to get some idea today. Let's do Meiri's probably gonna be too long. Oh no, Meiri's not too long. And he doesn't connect it. Meiri. That's surprising that the nigla and the nistar are the same here. Romes al shlemus hamidos. This is talking about the perfection of midos. V'hamalos al ha'adam chen v'shem tov. And virtues of a person include chen and shem tov. He's saying it's fitting to pursue these. Yoser mirdifas osher v'mammon, more so than wealth and money. Because this causes descent and destruction, and this causes ascent and success. Very superficial sounding.
I mean, it sounds like he's allowing this for much wider interpretation too.
Yeah. He's definitely taking the macro, right? Yeah. Like what you should pursue in life.
Well, what you should pursue in life in that way of macro, but also like what will these result in? At least we were like learning it in wealth.
Yeah.
Like we were trying to learn specific that. It just sounds like in general having a lot of like the rope. I mean, it's about your
right.
That just like in general, having a lot of money will cause in different ways downfalls, and having a good name and good fame,
right,
will in many ways lead to going.
Yeah, so I think actually it's funny because I would take that. So he's being general, but I think what this results in terms of practical interpretation of the pasuk is when you have to make a decision that is going to compromise or risk your reputation, but net you money, then you should choose the reputation because it can lead to many other things, So I think it does, like, even though he's saying that the pasuk is very general, it does translate into a very specific message, And again, I still sense that what I was talking about earlier when Eli mentioned his point is true, which is that people do feel like I can just, they either undervalue the reputation, or they feel that they can buy it or fix it very easily. So it's like it's something that they don't worry about preserving and protecting, and that leads them to like treat it carelessly. Like a good example of this is again going back to when I was a high school teacher, when students who were not well behaved for 4 years would ask for a letter of recommendation, they don't really realize what name they've created for themselves, up until that point. And they feel either that there are qualities that they have that might, override that. Let's say, for example, like there are people who have good grades, so you would write a good recommendation for them grade wise, but if they don't have good midos, you're not necessarily going to write a good recommendation. Or like they will, let's say like on a smaller level, let's say like, ingratitude is something that often occurs in the moment to moment, like people who say thank you versus people who don't say thank you when someone does something for them, So like people will not realize how those little decisions to not say thank you add up to a reputation of being an ungrateful person. And then that can have consequences that are beyond like the small thing. Okay. I think what we should do is like this. I mean, I don't feel like we got a good idea from this. I would like to spend another day on it, but I also want to look at the Mefarshim and see if all of them take this in very, very general ways. And I think it's going to matter who plans to come tomorrow. So I'll put out the call and we'll decide how to proceed based on that. Okay. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yep. And regarding